Welcome back. Come to sit towards the front of your chair. Have your feet firmly planted on the floor. And we're going to explore a little bit of what we did yesterday, but we're going to add some side bending. So yesterday, our hands were just resting. We had a little bit with the hands behind the head, but we're just going to have our hands resting here for the moment and come to this gentle flexion with the pubic bone coming towards your ribs and the head dropping, and then going in the opposite direction with the tailbone lifting, the chest and the head lifting. And just notice how you feel today doing that movement. And again, with this lesson, just doing less than you think you can, avoiding tension and stress and strain. And then gently turn to one side and then to the other. Which side feels easier? Usually one side that's more habitual that you'll find is easier to turn than the other side. And just choose your easiest side. And we're going to turn to that side a few times. And notice what happens to your knees, to your pelvis, to your hips. And let's make it a little bit easier. So turn without moving your body. Just let your head turn. Feels a little bit unnatural. You feel like you want to move in order to increase that movement and turning your head. So let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to turn it to my left side. I'm going to place my left hand on my head. If you want to do the other side, you can put your right hand on the head and turn to your right side if that was your easier side. So we're going to do a little bit of turning, looking towards your left elbow or your right elbow, whichever side you're turning to. Your eyes follow the movement, and already you can probably feel it opening up and moving down further into your abdominals and into your belly. And now we're going to do a little bit of side bending. So if you side bend to that side, so I've got my left hand on my head, I'm going to bend towards my left hip. So if you've got the right hand towards your head, you want to bend your elbow towards the right side of your pelvis. Now, if you press that foot into the ground, it might feel a bit odd at first because you might find that you're pressing your other foot into the floor. So as I'm bending into my left side, I'm pressing my left foot into the floor and my elbow is going towards my hip. And you might notice that my left hip is coming up towards my elbow. So you start to feel as if you're pushing that foot into the floor, that if you had your other hand underneath your pelvis, that would be pressing into your hand. So you feel heavier on the opposite side. It sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? Thinking about what's going on. So if you're on this side, you'd be pressing, if you're on your right hand behind your head, your right hip will go towards your elbow and your right foot would be going into the floor, but the weight would be shifting onto the other side of your pelvis. Now let that go. Let's play with this a little bit and put the other hand on the side of your head, but still stay with the same side that you're lifting, with the pelvis lifting, but your opposite hand is now on your head and this elbow is reaching away. But it's still the same side that you were working as you were doing this. If it feels a bit, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, go back to that first movement, take that hand away with the hip lifted, and put the other hand on that side of the head. The first time I did this, I got very confused with what side I was lifting and what I was doing. So just slow it down and do a tiny movement and then let that go. Rest there for a moment. So we're going to stay with that same side, whichever side you're working with, because we started like this. So the opposite hand on the side of the head again that we were just doing, lifting gently that hip, pressing that foot into the floor. But this hand now is going to go and reach towards the ceiling. It's going to go out of your view. I might turn it, I might keep it straight. So do what feels right for you. If it feels like you want to turn the arm, you can do that, or you can keep it straight as if you're trying to reach for something, like a book off the shelf. You can go forward if you want to, or go straight up. But the opposite side is shortening. So if you had a piece of string on this side of your ribs and I was on the side of you, I'd be pulling it away and your armpit is reaching, opening up that armpit as if you had eyes underneath your arms and it was looking as you were reaching up. You can look up to your hand if you want to do that. That's perfectly fine. So your ear goes towards your shoulder, towards your hip, Then you're looking up to your hand. If your arm starts to ache, bring it down. Let's bring it down now anyway and rest. And just notice as you rest towards the front of your chair how that feels on that side. In your shoulders, in your hips, in your feet. And then go back to that movement that we started with. So gently tucking under pubic bone towards the ribs. The hands can go behind the head if you want to. And then lifting again as we did in yesterday's lesson. Flexion and extension, a really primitive movement that we were born with, that we forget sometimes how to move through when we get stuck through worry, stress, just bad habits, injury, illness, things like that. It just keeps us feeling a little bit tight, but this is opening up and releasing any tension that we're holding in our belly, in our chest, in our spine, in our hips. Now I'm going to sit back just a tiny bit. I'm going to reach forward with my chest as if I'm going over my legs. I'm not going to reach down and touch my chest or my body onto my legs, but I'm just reaching forward as if I'm looking for something that is beyond my knees. So let's say someone's put some 50-pound notes beyond my toes on a line on the floor, and I'm looking down to see how many there are. And then I'm coming back up. I'm going to take my glasses off because they might fall off as I'm doing that. I'm looking down, could lift my chin if I wanted to, and then come back up. Relax your jaw, don't forget to breathe. We're just looking down, looking over. Now, whichever side you were working on, so I was bending onto my left side, my hands are going to go onto my left leg, and I'm going to let my hands rest on my thigh, and they're going to slide down over my knee, down on the front of the leg, and I'm going to look down towards my toes, and then my hands come up to my leg, and I come back up. So if you're working on your right side, you want to do that on your right side. Hands just flat on the thighs and sliding down over the knees, down the front of the leg, towards the foot, and then coming back up. That's a nice gentle movement. And then come back up and rest in the middle. Now let's do the other side. Just pause for a moment and notice the differences in your right and left side. So I was doing this side, so now I'm going to have a little go on this side. I'm going to start with a gentle lifting of that pelvis. So I'm going over onto my right side. I'm going to put my right hand on the side of my head as if my right elbow is going towards my right hip. Remember, less is more. Don't have to do every single repetition that I'm doing. I'm going to press my right foot into the floor gently. And just that helps lift the pelvis off that side. Just slight lifting, as if I was going to put a thin piece of paper underneath that right sit bone. It's not a huge hiking up. We're not going into big excessive movements here. Very gentle, soft, hardly moving at all. And let's see what that feels like with the other hand on the side of the head. This hand's just resting on the thigh, and my left hand is now on the side of my head, and I'm just tilting the ear towards the shoulder. And then taking that hand up to the ceiling, reaching, looking up, and I can feel an opening up here in the abdominals and the lengthening of the spine. So my right foot's pressing into the floor as my left hand reaches for the ceiling. I can feel the closing in of my right side, but the opening up of my left side. This feels really nice to do on this side. Oh, it's lovely. And then coming back and resting. And putting both of my hands onto my right leg, I'm going to slide them forward and look down over my toes, and then slide the hands back up. They're both just reaching down over the front of the knee and down onto the shin, down towards the ankle, and then coming back up. Then I'm just going to go back into the movement earlier, just flexing and extending, lifting the tailbone, lifting the chest. Very gentle movement that we did yesterday, this primitive movement. And that's all that we're doing, is working through this flexion and extension where we hold tension, and the side bending where we hold tension in the hips. Sometimes we have one hip height up higher than the other, and we just don't realize it. We walk around with this little lopsided pelvis, which affects our breathing, affects our digestion, affects the colon, affects the intestines, affects our diaphragm, and can affect our shoulders. So when we work from one side to the other, we're just noticing our little patterns and allowing our brain to work out how to settle each one. And then just come back and rest. And when you feel ready, you could stand up and have a walk around the room and see how that feels and how that is changed, how you felt when we began. See you tomorrow.